All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Achak double honors to the apostles and those a great millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. This is pretty much going to be going into the word importunity. And so I want to go into this section of camp that we went into yesterday. This is yesterday's camp. And basically, there was the scripture that was in my head. I got it mixed up, and so I found it this morning, and I wanted to do a lesson on it. So I'm gonna play this part here, and Lord willing, this is edifying.
In the spiritual world, how long? We're asking that question. How long? We're asking how long we're gonna be here, right, in this hell, and they're asking how long is it gonna be until you commit that righteous judgment, man. You see? And Yahweh Shai, that's what he's coming to do. As you read that parable in Luke chapter 18, which we go into it all the time about that widow that was crying out to that unrighteous judge, man.
Yeah, that brother Eisman Wath right here, you see in the middle. You know, he was preaching yesterday, and he mentioned the parable, which we're going to go into it a little bit more. So actually, I'm going to let it play a little bit more.
You took the thought that was in my head and you said it, bro. I was just thinking about that. What's the word that was used to describe the woman? The persistence. That wasn't the word, but I get it. Give me a second.
So the word was importunity. So, you know, when you watch this, when we watch this camp, I brought out Luke 18. So we're going to go into it here. But that word importunity is not in that scripture in Luke 18. It's in Luke 11. All right. So we're going to get that. But first, let's start off in Luke chapter 18. Okay. And I'll start at verse 1. Okay. Because the topic is the same in Luke 11 and Luke 18 is the same topic of prayer, being persistent in prayer. This is Luke chapter 18, verse 1. It says, "And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint." And I have the King James Version on the left, and then the NLT, the New Living Translation, on the right side of the screen, in case you want to look at another translation. So, again, this is concerning praying continually, right? It says, verse 2, saying, "There was in a city a judge which feared not the Most High, neither regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, Avenge me of mine adversary." Okay, now we are like unto that widow, like the brother Eisman Wath went into. Okay, the brother Eisman Wath went into that, right? This brother right here, he brought that example out. So, you know, we're getting a little bit more into it here in this lesson. It says, "Avenge me of mine adversary." So this is us praying up those prayers to the Lord to deliver us from evil, right? To give us endurance, to endure to the end, right? Like the scripture says in Sirach chapter 4, verse 28, "He that endureth to the end, right, the same shall be saved." So, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. That's Sirach 4 and 28. So anyway, continuing on in verse 4, it says, and he would not for a while, just talking about the judge, right? Actually, I'll read it in verse 4. I'll read verse 4 in the NLT. It says, "And the judge ignored her for a while, but finally he said to himself, I don't fear the Most High or care about people, but this woman is driving me crazy. I'm going to see that she gets justice because she is wearing me out with her constant requests." You see? And that's how we're supposed to be, man, with the Lord. Like the scriptures say, the souls of the just complain continually. Okay, this is 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 8. It says, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. You see? So the Lord, he hears our cries, man. He hears our complaints to him for the basically for him to avenge us, right? Verse 9, it says, and therefore saith the Lord Yahweh, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them, right? And so the Lord isn't going to let us continually suffer forever and him just ignore our request, right? Because even a judge that doesn't fear the Most High and doesn't care about people will still grant a woman's, in this parable here, he still granted this woman's request simply because of the persistence, right? That woman came to the judge with, like, constantly, as it says here in the NLT, wearing him out with constant requests, right? So I'll continue on in verse 6 in the King James Version. It says, and the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge saith, and shall not the Most High avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? You see? So the thing is, man, the Lord isn't going to just continue to ignore. He's never really just utterly and wholly just set his mind to ignore us forever. Now there may be a time, where we had to, pray harder, right? There may be times where we have to ask repeatedly, right? But when it comes to the salvation of the nation of Israel, salvation starting with his elect, man, the Lord is going to come and allow us to be preserved, man. You see, I'll read verse 8 and then I'll get to the next precept. Luke 18:8, it says, I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? Right? Because you have to have faith in order to believe that the Lord is going to come back for you. That you have to have faith in order to continually pray constantly, right? So that's a key element that we can't miss. Okay. So next scripture I want to get is in Matthew. Give me 1 sec here to pull this up. Let's see here. What chapter I want to get? Matthew 15. All right. This is Matthew chapter 15. I want to get this example of the woman. Okay. This is Matthew chapter 15 and 21. Okay. Then Yahushua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. Okay. And if you read in the NLT, if you have a map, you'll know that Tyre and Sidon is north of the land of Judea, right? It's kind of upwards up there, in northern Samaria, right? And so you had Israelites there as well, of course. But this is probably one of the most northern parts of Yahushua's ministry as far as the geographic location. And it says in verse 22, and behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coasts and said, and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. Right? And basically you can tell here that the woman believed that Yahushua, was the chosen, right? And so she came strong with that faith, right? Like we just read in Luke 18 and 8, right? When the Lord comes, Yahushua said, what? When I come, shall I find faith on the earth, right? It says in verse 23, and he answered her not a word, and his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us, right? And I like this in what it says in the NLT. But Yahushua gave her no reply, not even a word. Then his disciples urged him to send her away. Tell her to go away, they said. She is bothering us with all her begging, right? So she was pleading for Yahushua to have mercy on her daughter and heal her daughter, right? And Yahushua, initially, he didn't respond. He didn't answer. But the disciples were like, man, tell this, this chick, man, tell her to move around. You know what I mean? Because again, it says this is a woman of Canaan, which, from the physical appearance, she may have looked like, those Canaanites, or you could say the Samaritans, which would have been heathen, right? It wasn't obvious that she was an Israelite woman, right? That she was a true woman of the circumcision. It wasn't obvious to appearance, but if you're spiritual, you'll know that this woman had faith that Yahushua is the anointed, okay? And so we're going to continue reading. It says in verse 24, but he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel, which we get this scripture all the time, right? And the reason why Yahushua said this was to basically confirm that he's only here for the Israelites, right? Now, here we go right here. This is a key thing right here with verse 25. This is actually a really heavy account. Verse 25 says, then came she and worshiped him, saying, Lord, help me. Right? She came, it says in the NLT, she came and worshiped him, pleading again, Lord, help me. So right then and there, she was like, she wasn't giving up. You know what I mean? She wasn't letting Yahushua's response deter her from basically requesting of him to heal her daughter. Verse 26, it says, and he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs, right? Which that was a parable. And this woman was, she was able to understand what he meant. Basically, he was letting her know, hey, when it comes to these blessings, it's only for Israelites, right? And it says, verse 27, and she said, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table, right? And so basically she acknowledged that, Lord, look, I don't care, what nationality, whatever the case is. I know I'm not she knew that she wasn't of the circumcision, growing up in the customs of the laws and things like that. However, she understood that she still wanted that blessing. And that's an attribute of an Israelite, okay? Because even Jacob wrestled with that angel, and he didn't give up until that angel blessed him, right? And so we see the proof that she was, in fact, if you're spiritual, you can see the proof that she was, in fact, an Israelite. When you read verse 28, it says, then Yahushua answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith, and be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour, right? So that's a good account letting you know that there are Israelite foreigners that's going to come in the spirit, right, of faith. And that was an example of that. Even though during Yahushua's ministry, he only focused on the land of Judea, if you will, the immediate territories of Israel, okay, there were still what you would call Israelite foreigners, or those that were outside of the circumcision, that were within the land of Israel. And this woman was an example of that. So let's go to the point here. Again, the title of this lesson, or I'll say the final precept, which ties in the title of this lesson, okay, which is Luke chapter 11. And where we go here, okay. Hold on. Let's see what verse I want. Yeah. All right. So this was right after the Lord, gave us the Lord's Prayer, right? This is Luke chapter 11 and verse 5. Okay. Again, the title of this lesson is Importunity. All right. Luke 11 and 5. And he said unto them, which of you shall have a friend and shall go unto him at midnight and say unto him, Friend, lend me 3 loaves. For a friend of mine is in his journey. A friend of mine in his journey has come to me, and I have nothing to set before him. Right. So this is a story, right? And when you read it in the NLT in verse 5, it says, then teaching them more about prayer, he used this story. So this story is concerning prayer, right? This parable, if you will, is concerning prayer, okay? And being persistent in prayer, okay? It says, verse 7, back in the KJV. Actually, I'll read verse 7 in the NLT on the right. It says, oops, that was an accident. Okay, Luke 11 and I'll start at verse 7. It says, and suppose he calls out from his bedroom, don't bother me. The door is locked for the night, and my family and I are all in bed. I can't help you, right? So this is a friend. This is a man that receives a guest from out of town, going at nighttime to one of his neighbors and asking him for some food so that he can supply for his friend that came in from out of town, right? And that neighbor is telling him, look, man, don't bother me. I'm chill. I'm laying down, with my family. Just leave me alone, right? And again, this is the position that we're in, man. Like when it comes to us Israelites, we're bothering the Lord in the sense of, asking him to do things for us, asking him to grant our prayers, to hear our prayers, because the Most High, he's in the higher position. We're on a low position. Okay, we're the beggars, we are the lowly ones, right? But in this situation, this man that is knocking on his neighbor's door, he could have just said, okay, well, damn, my prayer wasn't answered. Let me just go home and be through. Or he said, you know what? No, I don't got nothing to lose. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep asking him. Right. And so when you read verse 8, I'll continue in the NLT on the right. It says, but I tell you this, though he won't do it for friendship's sake, if you keep knocking long enough, he will get up and give you whatever you need because of your shameless persistence. You see? And when you read it in the King James Version, it uses that word importunity, which is what I was looking for here in this video. I was looking for that word importunity, but I got it mixed up with Luke 11. I got Luke 11 mixed up with Luke 18. Okay, so I'm going to read it in the King James Version, and then we're going to get the definition in the Greek. It says, I say unto you, though he will, this is Luke 11 and 8 in the King James Version. I say unto you, though he will not rise and give him, because he is his friend, yet because of his importunity, he will rise and give him as many as he needed. So we got to bother Yahweh Shem Yahushua when it comes to prayer, okay? Because, if we keep knocking, man, our prayers are not ignored, right? And that's why Yahushua said, continuing on, when you're reading that in this chapter, in chapter 11, it talks about that, knock and it'll be answered unto you, right? Whatsoever you ask in Yahushua's name, the Lord's going to give it. If you continue to beg and plead the Lord enough, we gotta believe that the Lord, but you gotta believe that the Lord even hears our prayers, right? You gotta believe that those prayers even pierce the clouds to continually pray for the same thing continually over and over again, right? And when you go into the account of ancient men, they did that. They prayed daily, and you know what I mean, for certain things, and ultimately the Lord, he sees that. So this word here in the Greek, I'm going to play it.
Strong's G 335, anaideia. Anaideia.
Okay, anaideia, which says impudence or shamelessness. Okay, it says, let's see here. Impudence, which is the definition, importunity. Okay. Shamelessness is a good one. Okay, it says the shamelessness of an importunate man persisting in his entreaties. You see, so when you look up that word importunate, it says persistent, especially to the point of annoyance. So we got to be persistent in our entreaties, man. And this word is only used one time. So I think that's really cool. But no, that was the word I was looking for, and the Lord gave it to me this morning, so I figured I'd do a lesson on it. That's really the point. Lord willing, this was edifying. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak, double honors to the apostles, and that was a great millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.